all the boys told me that I had to support the team that won. I picked a team that night, but it wasn't what I was supposed to do.
It wasn't a winning team on the night.
No.
One rookie this season that you think people should be watching out for. Give me your favourite Seahawk moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Seahawks fans of all ages, welcome back to We Talk to 12's from the We Talk Seahawks podcast. Now, some of you will know me. My name's Josh. I'm one of the co-hosts of the We Talk Seahawks podcast. And if you haven't heard the first episode from last season where we got to speak with Captain Seahawk and learn all about his introduction to the team and his connections, this pod is essentially me getting to know you. So we're going to be talking to Seahawks fans from all over the world, the UK, the US, France, Germany, wherever. All you need to do is get in contact with us via our socials. You can contact us on our Facebook group. We've got TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. Find us at We Talk Seahawks, get in touch, and then we'll get you down for this. Now, today, we've got a treat. Some of you may have heard this man's voice to start with when we were doing our rookie pre-draft episodes. And then in the last lot of pods, he bought himself a camera. So without further ado, the new We Talk Seahawks draft expert, Mitch. Welcome, Mitch.
Thank you very much. Nice to be on.
That's good to have you on, mate. It's been it's a nice way to introduce you properly to our community, so people can actually get to know you, and then they'll understand why you are now our resident draft expert. I know because we talk a lot, and I find your information very insightful, and I love your love of spreadsheets. It's very akin to mine.
It's very hard to deny that I'm a little bit obsessed with spreadsheets, because every time we have an idea, I find a way to just crowbar in a use of a spreadsheet for it. So hard to hide that one, really.
That's all right, mate. It works for us. That's the main thing. I mean, those you don't know as well. So we have a Discord channel. Mitch is the Discord master. I don't know what your title would be on that, mate.
I don't know. I mean, I've used Discord for a long time. So typically when someone wants to do something with using Discord, or use that as a sort of vehicle to carry a vote or a streaming of something, or just community-based activities, typically I've seen it done before, and I can sort of advise or help set up. But yeah, Discord's great. Our Discord's really good, I think. It's a close-knit community, and it could definitely stand to have a few more members in it. But it's full of people who have got very good opinions and insightful things to add. So I found it a great place to bounce theories and stuff off. So yeah, it's been really
I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, since you've come on board and we've started the Discord, I don't think I've spoken Seahawks more than I have with the people in that group, and it's amazing. Like I said, it's a growing community. We've got people that are joining from all around the world again, and we've managed to start up our fantasy football league. You've got people that are constantly engaged and asking questions and opinions, and we get to fire them back and forth, which I think is brilliant as well.
I agree.
Well, let's get into the meat and bones of this, Mitch.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you've come on board now as our resident draft expert. People that have listened to the pod for a while will hopefully realize that James, Pez, and I are massive Seahawks fans. But tell us about yourself. How did you get into the team? What's your story with them?
Yeah, so I briefly touched. I gave a little brief overview of this back when we were doing the draft stuff. But back when I'd never watched a full NFL game before, I was invited to go to a Super Bowl party. There's about 8 or 9 of us. One of my mates is from Bermuda, and we all think he's American because he sounds very American, but he tells us he's from Bermuda just to make it more exotic. And he loves the Super Bowl and making stacked nachos and proper hot dogs with fried onions and ketchup and mustard, and he just goes nuts. Yeah, he goes nuts. So I got an invite to that, and all the boys told me that I had to support the team that won. That unfortunately was the goal line against the Patriots. I know I went on it, but Lynch didn't get the ball. An interception was made, and the Patriots did win that Super Bowl. We all know it. It hurts still, probably. But I decided, having watched Marshawn Lynch and Baldwin and Russell Wilson and the Legion of Boom, and just that I couldn't, despite the win, I'd seen what I wanted to, what I wanted to keep watching. So I picked a team that night, but it wasn't what I was supposed to do. It wasn't
a winning team on the night.
No. And I haven't seen many wins since, have I? So no. Obviously,
no Super Bowl wins, but
no, not many Super Bowl wins. No, one of the most successful teams over the last 10 years. Granted, the Seahawks have been, but no Super Bowl wins since. So, bit of a hangover from that night.
That's it's one of those nights that is. Anyone who listens to any sort of podcast, who watches any interview on YouTube, you know that it still hangs heavy over the heads of Seahawks fans, ex-players. I mean, all you've got to do is listen to KJ Wright's pod, and I love that pod, but it seems every ex-player he gets in, he just has to have that
has a take on it. Yeah,
and I'm like, it's nice to hear their take on it, but I'm kind of like, can we just let it go now, please? It hurts far too much. As soon as I hear the name Malcolm Butler, I get a weird little twitch. I mean, with that, obviously, I think you've picked the right franchise, to be honest. Like, my love affair started a few years before that. But with, obviously, the Legion of Boom era, Marshawn Lynch, we had Russell Wilson in his heyday, and I won't say anything more about that because people know my opinion on the man. We went from being the best defense in the NFL to then all of a sudden being a team that had to be put around a QB, let's say. So it was all made around him, supposedly. We've had some fantastic players, but we've had a bit of a lull when it comes to success in our sort of our playoff aspirations, our Super Bowl aspirations. I mean, with yourself doing the rookie draft stuff for us, it's been so insightful. I mean, what do you think of the team as it is now?
It looks like a team that it looks like a team that should have been rebuilding, but because they've hit on two really deep draft classes, I think usually if you said to me we're drafting 7 players, I'd tell you that 3 of those would be having a meaningful amount of snaps and having some sort of impact on a team. When you look at how many of was it 9 picks? Was it 8 picks last year? I feel like we had 2 extras.
You're the numbers guy, mate.
I think we had 2 extra picks last year. We had 3 extra this year, but our last Jamal Adams pick had gone last year to the Jets. Yeah. So I think we had Denver's pick, which was our first rounder last year.
So last year was Cross.
Yeah, sorry, Charles Cross. Yeah, so we had Charles Cross with Denver's pick, but our pick was with the Jets, and I think wasn't Sauce Gardner because Sauce Gardner was their own pick. I can't remember. We won't go into it because I can't remember. But yeah, we had 2 really big draft classes. Last year's one, we hit on a lot of them. This year's one looks like we've got some really, really good talent in there. There's some undrafted free agents that are looking really good as well. And it's kind of created this roster now it's got a few stars on it. It's got a few experienced veterans on it. But then there's an absolute raft of depth coming from really high upside, talented players that have had an impact on the roster already ahead of time. So my overall take is that it's an extremely talented, exciting to watch roster. And when you look at the cap hits for some of the key parts of it, I think we're going to have that group together for a long time. So I'm excited to see how many of them on defense can mature into Legion of Boom style, heavy hitting, impactful playmakers, because I think if maybe 3 or 4 of them become like that, then we're going to be exciting on both sides of the ball, which we were in those Legion of Boom days. We had playmakers you wanted to watch on offense, and we had one of the best defenses, and I think we're close to getting back to that.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, from a fan's point of view, anyone who just sort of sees the team come in, if they're not as invested or looking as in depth as we do, as sort of podcasters who have a massive passion for the team, I think it's like you said, the depth, especially when it comes to who we've drafted. Last year, I think there were some amazing picks. I mean, you've got your Ken Walker, who, you know, if you ask Pez from our podcast, massive fan of Ken. I thought he was by far and away, unfortunately, Breece Hall got injured, but by far and away the best young running back in the league last year. And then you get people like Kobe Bryant, Jim Thorpe Award winner, across from Sauce Gardner. That's probably because he saw more targets, and I've said this because no one wanted to throw to Sauce. But that is the caliber of player that we're getting. And then you pick out a diamond in the rough on pure traits like Tariq Woolen, and look at him now. You know, I think we started building last year. Since getting rid of Russ, I think we've really started to build in the positions that can change a game for us. I mean, I love the big boys up front. So me, Charles Cross, Abe Lucas. I think Abe Lucas is a absolute monster of a right guard, and we're really lucky to get him. Charles Cross, I think, fantastic left guard, and will be for a long time. Obviously, the more experience he gets, he'll just become even better. I mean, with that, based on the current crop of players, I mean, obviously we did a big draft sort of rundown. Which players are you most excited about seeing this year?
So the year two class, which players? And
the new rookies. Let's just go. We'll do a really quick one before, because you've got to do your rookie rundown anyway on the main pod. But I just want to address it here as well. So sophomore players and your rookies.
I think Boye Mafe is the one that I think we need to have the biggest push on in year two. I think setting the edge and letting Uchenna Nwosu get into the backfield more regularly is what's going to make our just everything work from front to back on our defense. Taylor hasn't been able to set the edge effectively at all. Good on passing downs, but doesn't set the edge particularly well. Boye Mafe brings that stability to that defensive line. So I think that's important. I think, but in terms of exciting, because your question was, you know, who excites me the most in year two? I can't say one of the tackles because it's just not. They're good, but they're not exciting. Position. It's not. No, it's not. I think Ken Walker, because when you look at Ken Walker's season, it was interrupted by injury. It was slow to start because Rashad Penny, you know, got the starting reps. He's got a run up now to a full season, and he's also got a really good class of running backs behind him to take the workload off him. They can literally scheme what's a Kenny Walker. You know, which page of the playbook are we flicking to for Ken? Which one's going to be Charbonnet? Which one's going to be Kenny Mack? You know, this year they can tailor make his situations, and I think the game will slow down for him as well, which is a frightening prospect because the chunks he was ripping out of teams were big chunks. They were large old chunks. So Kenny Walker's the one who I think who can really push on and is exciting. That's where I'm at for year two. So.
I agree on that one, mate. We've spoke about this. I love Boye Mafe. I think he's going to bring a lot, like I said, setting the edge, just preventing that run as well. I think he has got some pass rush ability as well. And Ken Walker, like I said, the running back room we've got behind him now, it means he's not got to eat up those runs where we're asking him to get between a tackle and a guard, and then he just inadvertently gets stopped or pushed back for 2 yards. He hasn't.
Well, there was a lot of times where it was him or Dallas. And I remember there was one game where Kenny I think it was an ankle injury or just a foot injury. It was a weird foot injury he had last year, wasn't it? It was like he just had discomfort. They just named it as discomfort in his foot. We never really found out what that was.
Plantar fasciitis or something really bad.
Yeah. That's it's weird because that's what I kind of felt it was like. Because it seemed to be underneath his foot, like he'd strained something, and I think that was probably just wear and tear from, you know,
running the ball so
much, just wearing him down. Yeah. So yeah, when you've only got him and DJ Dallas, and Dallas is kick returning, and Dallas is your third down back, it's basically just you become a workhorse. And I don't think we want Kenny Walker to be a workhorse. plainly put. I just don't think that's what he is. I think he can be 1,000 yards plus a year at an average of about 5.5, 6 an attempt, quite comfortably, just being put into situations to thrive. He doesn't have to get beaten up doing it. And if one of the other running backs who's carrying the load around him picks up an injury from carrying the load, next man up. We don't have someone to step up who does Kenny's job. We do have a room behind him who can do similar jobs to each other, but not him, but not his job.
I think we've just got some running backs with great tools that they're not all the same type of player, which for me is exciting because it's going to give Waldron such free reign now.
Yeah, I don't want to give you spoilers because for anyone watching this, me and Josh are going to watch the Vikings game after this. But Charbonnet I think he took 5 or 6 snaps, and
I've seen two of them where he trucked over people. I'm pretty sure it's the same person that he trucked over twice.
Yeah, it was Cine or Chine, C-I-N-E. I can't remember the guy's. How do you pronounce it? But Chine or Cine. He took a battering twice, and the way Charbonnet leans into the hit punishes the linebacker. I think he's a linebacker, isn't he? Or a safety. He makes sure that guy took the full hit. And he planted him into the floor. It was great. And the thing that I said about Charbonnet when we were talking pre and post draft is that his contact balance is outstanding. He takes hits. Yeah, it takes a bit of the pace off his run, but he's ready for the next hit. It's like next man up. Let's go. Who's coming at me next? It's just bulldozes through people, and
that's what I like to see.
It's brilliant to watch.
It's for me. I've always been a fan, and when you've got the tandem of running backs, when you've got the really athletic one, like we've got Ken Walker, who can nip through a gap, step through, and he's gone. And then I just want the absolute bulldozer who isn't going to try and go around people all the time. He's going to try and go through people. And it's that, what was it Marshawn Lynch said? If you run through a mother's face enough times, he's not going to want to tackle you anymore. Yeah, and that's what I see Charbonnet as being for this team.
Yeah, there's another thing with Charbonnet as well, because it's rare to see. Usually with running backs, you say he's an elusive back or he's a power back. But Charbonnet is weirdly both, because if you watch the old Marshawn Lynch rubberneck, where he's kind of weirdly kind of elastic and shapes his body, and then he'll do somewhat. Charbonnet's not to the same degree, but he's got a bit of the same, where he kind of jukes someone with a bit of rubberneck and then goes the other way. And one of the ways that he got a lot of yards in college was hit the guy, and by the time you've tenderized that back, one, he doesn't want to tackle you because he's fed up of you plowing through him. But when you approach him and then juke him and go, he thinks you're going to hit him again. So he's bracing to be hit, and you've done him. He's not expecting it. So it's a weird combination of it's a weird balance he's got of both, where it makes him super unpredictable, because he'll either catch you out because he thinks, oh, he snapped my ankles last time because he did me and I look stupid. So this time I'm going to stay light-footed. You stay light-footed and he hits you. So it's a really funny. It's just a funny way of approaching running back play that I think is going to be intriguing. And then there's the fact that he can receive the ball out the backfield, and we'll have Jackson Smith and Jigba ignore him at your peril.
At your peril.
He'll get picked up on a crossing route, and the running back goes through, catches the ball, and there you go, he's off to the races. So Charbonnet, weirdly.
Is he your one for this year then that you're excited about? I don't think he is.
I think we're going to see some really good, memorable plays from him.
Mm-hmm.
Production, I think, will be limited because of how crowded that room is. And I think we'll see the ball to the tight ends a bit more because of Njigba as well. I think it'd be really hard to pick up shallow crossing tight ends for easy 4 to 5 yard completions when teams are having to scheme to stop Njigba. So you see what I mean? It's going to be very shared round. I feel like it's going to be very shared round to the team's benefit. I think everyone there is going to take a little 20% hit on productivity because everyone's getting the ball. But that's the beauty of having a lot of weapons.
Okay, I'll move us on to the next one. And obviously, I don't want you to give away too much because you're doing a lot of work this season for the pod as our resident draft expert. You've got your Rookie Watch podcast, which will be coming out after every single game, where you are specifically focusing on what the rookies did well, what they might be able to improve on, who shone, who didn't. Very quickly, for the people that are going to listen, one rookie this season that you think people should be watching out for. Don't give us too much information. You can just give us a very brief synopsis.
I'm not going to say JSN because it's too obvious, and I'm not going to say Witherspoon because, again, it's too obvious. I'm actually going to go with an undrafted free agent because, I mean, he's still a rookie in the league, and I think he's going to make the squad. I want to talk very briefly about Jake Bobo.
Yeah.
Because
I knew this was coming.
Did you? Am I so predictable? I think he makes the squad. I think the suspension and injury of Eskridge and his previous injury history means that excluding him and putting him on the practice squad, which I think immediately would cause someone to snap him up anyway. I don't think Bobo can hit the practice squad and still be a Seahawk. Immediately he's gone. Honestly. He's a guy he's not blessed with lightning speed. He's got a good frame, and I think when you look at how productive he was in college, typically college, you look at that young kid is blessed for his age with a fantastic physique and an engine, or he's taller, he's got longer arms, he gains an advantage and he dominates college football and high school football. Bobo's tall, but he doesn't have speed. And when you watch the preseason, the mock game, some of the reps he's had in the preseason in the camps, what really shines for him is how cleanly he runs routes, how quick his movement is, how quickly he can snap off double moves and things in order to gain a yard. It's like he's played handcuffed all the way through college because he's had to play against better athletes. Yeah. And those finely tuned extra bits are the bits that the talented athletes that come into the NFL have to then learn, and that's a steeper learning curve sometimes than getting fit, getting a yard quicker. So he's got all the tools, and he just needs to be put in the right situations. And he showed in the Vikings game, which we're going to watch later, that he is an absolute special player on special teams.
I saw his touchdown. I saw his touchdown, and I saw the footwork to get the separation to go out to the corner. And I thought, for a big lad, that's pretty special.
Yeah, exactly. One more thing I'll say about Bobo. I put it in our Discord earlier as just a little sort of tongue-in-cheek thing.
Transition.
Yeah. Well, we've seen it before. We've seen the Seahawks do it before. Was it Sullivan we had before? Who was I think we took him as an undrafted wide receiver and then asked him to play tight end, and then he ended up going edge rusher. I think he went to tight end and then he went to offense, and then we released him.
We had our Baker Whiteside as well, didn't we? Who was a wide receiver that then converted to tight end, and then we jettisoned him pretty quick.
Yeah, it didn't work out. But the thing that this is a lofty comparison, so just don't hate me. When you watch Travis Kelce, and he'll run a wheel route or he'll do a double move and he'll occupy the center of the field and then commit to a direction. If he's picked up, fair enough. He's opened space for people. If he isn't picked up, Mahomes is always just really in tune with Kelce, and he'll snap off 15-yard gains on those routes once they've matured. Bobo runs those same sort of routes really well, and as a 6'2", frame, being able to do those things, having really reliable hands, being a really good red zone threat, and our need next year for a tight end because we've got Fant. We've got Disley, who's a big cap hit next year. That'll either be an adjustment and keep him on, or possibly he'll test. Maybe we'll waive him. And And Parkinson, I think, is contract year as well.
Contract year this year, isn't it?
Yeah, so the chances of having all three on the roster next year is slim. And I think Bobo's a nice project for converting over. He can play both positions. He's a backup wide receiver and can also play some snaps at tight end. I think it's.
I like it. I like it's a bit of food for thought, that.
Yeah,
I mean, if his production's there as well. I mean, so there you go. That's Mitch's hot takes for this year. Now, before I get onto my last question, which I didn't pre-warn you about, so I'm going to have you on your toes. But quickly, what are your expectations or aspirations for this team in a couple of minutes? Say this year and next year.
Specific. Okay, so 2-year plan. Anything less than a slightly deeper run into the off season, into the postseason. We have to get there, right? We have to play at least 2 playoff games. Anything less than that is a travesty, really, I would say, because we're a stronger outfit this year than last year. Next year, hard to say. Assuming we draft as well as we have this year, and assuming they fix some of the large cap hits on the roster, I don't want to say which players I would cut because I think that's unfair. But I think there are certainly some difficult decisions to make on the roster. I think we could free up some space to add people to play positions that we really need. So I think if the roster is managed well and we draft well next year, NFL championship I think is within grasp. Especially with the 49ers on a downward trajectory, in my opinion.
Which makes me laugh so much. I love that. I mean, they're the main 3 topics that I forewarned you about. Before we came on air, I sent Mitch a little list. I said, look, we're going to do sort of half an hour, 3 main topics. This is all it's going to be. But I'm going to throw a little curveball in you. So you said that you became a Seahawks fan following the trauma of our Super Bowl loss.
Correct.
Okay. Through the awful decision, regardless of whose it was, not to give Marshawn the ball. Now, that is a hell of a way to start your fandom as a Seahawker, with trauma and losing a Super Bowl. Give me your favorite Seahawk moment. This can be historically, or I'm going to put the kibosh on winning the Super Bowl because I'm not having that. That's too easy. So historically, before you're a fan, when you look back in the annals, or since you've been a fan, one that comes up the top of the dome.
There's a really low hanging bit of fruit. I'm gonna go with Game 1, Week 1 last year. Honestly, because it was just.
This is yours. I'm more than happy with that one, though.
Yeah, I mean it's recency bias a little bit maybe, because I'm sure in terms of moments there's been plenty of Cam Chancellor hits and things that I've loved, like peanut punches on the goal line from him, and there's been Doug Baldwin athletic catches way against the odds. There's been Metcalf's grab against the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs, which really announced him as I'm not just a big body. I can make splashy plays as well. Yeah. There's a few individual plays in there that really stand out. But in terms of moments, I think Russell Wilson turning up back at Lumen Field and facing a team that was rebuilding with so many rookies in that team that we didn't know yet. We didn't know William was going to be brilliant. We didn't know Kenny Walker was going to have a breakout yet. We didn't know. Mm-hmm. Just watching Chenna Nwosu running riot and having Russell Wilson scrambling around in the backfield, like we've watched him do all those years, and pray that he'd get a ball out before he was sacked. Yep. Watching him run for his life from Chenna Nwosu, mate, it was so good. It was so good. And also for me, there was that feeling washing over you of, this is going to be a crap year. We're going to hate this too. We want to know we're just beating the guy that someone's just traded their entire, traded the whole farm for, like all those picks and players and talent, and we just beat him.
I like it. No, that is a great shout. It was a hell of a way to start a season, and I think this is a hell of a way to restart We Talk to 12's. I'm just going to say, from myself, thank you so much for coming on, Mitch, and being my first guest on season 2. Now, anyone listening to this, you'll be able to hear Mitch more and more on the We Talk Seahawks network. He's in our Discord. You can find out how to get into our Discord if you go onto our Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, whatever Elon's rebranded it as. It's one of the pinned tweets or posts on there. You just click on that. You can come through. Obviously, if you are a bot, Mitch is the man that will boot you. We are a close-knit community of Seahawk fans all around the world. We have a Facebook group, an Instagram. As I said, we've got a Twitter X thing. We've got a TikTok as well. Follow us on all of those at We Talk Seahawks. Mitch, what can people follow you out on Twitter?
Fifth Down Plays is my my Twitter /X handle, and you'll see a lot of my posts are added into We Talk Seahawks as well. So you'll see me a lot all over their feed as well. You can find me there, and you can find me in the Discord where I'm very active. And
you've got an Instagram as well, haven't you?
I do. I'm more Twitter these days than I am Instagram, and I've got a YouTube channel as well. The YouTube channel plan this year is I'm going to pick out some players. There's going to be a bit of Seahawks bias in there in terms of prioritizing a few positions that we're likely to draft, but I'll get a few videos up there analyzing some talent. Those will also be shared on our Twitter and in the Discord. So if you're in our circle, you can't miss them, and they are upcoming.
Awesome. Like I said, you will catch Mitch. He will be coming onto the main pod quite often. He's got his rookie watch that he's going to be doing as a separate podcast for anyone who's really interested in how the Seahawks rookies are doing. He's got his YouTube channel. And then for me, I'll be coming nearly weekly with different guests on We Talk to 12's. I'm going to be talking to different podcasters, different people from across the world about their love for the Seahawks and what it means to them and what they want from this season. But with that, I'm just going to finish up with a Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.